Walton City, 1980. A sprawling city in Texas facing a scorching heatwave and economic crisis is caught unaware when a strange epidemic reaches its shores. The undead soon overrun the city and survivors are stranded as Walton is left with no real help from the outside. Survivors must band together to endure the zombie threat and try to find a way out of this undead nightmare. But with a seemingly endless horde of zombies bashing at their barricades, they wonder if there is even a point in trying. Into the Dead, Our Darkest Days is a side-scrolling shelter survival game that has you controlling a group of survivors attempting to scavenge, build, and endure through a zombie apocalypse. With base building and location scavenging, you explore the city of Walton while trying to manage your survivors' physical and mental needs. Today we're going to be breaking down the game and giving you everything you need to know about it before you buy it. This is something we do regularly here at the Indie Brew, so make sure to hit that subscribe button if you want more indie game content. And without further ado, let's jump into the apocalyptic world of Into the Dead, Our Darkest Days. In Into the Dead, Our Darkest Days, you control a group of survivors held up in a shelter somewhere in the city. The aim? To survive and to find a way out. You make your way through different locations or levels and scavenge resources and food that can be used back at your shelter to better protect your survivors or keep them well fed. Whilst out on expeditions for resources, you'll be faced with the undead in each location, and some locations are more dangerous than others. You'll need to navigate the levels, clearing different obstacles and undead threats to collect the items you need and maybe find some clues about what to do next. Now, before we get heavy into this, I will start by saying Into the Dead, Our Darkest Days is in alpha early access, and as we talk about later, there is still a lot left to come, so keep that in mind while we chat about the game. Now, the story is not the main focus in the game and is still in development, but currently there are multiple escape opportunities, which means there is a lot of replayability and little informative tidbits here and there that tell you about what has been happening within this setting. There are a few cutscenes that outline key information regarding the outbreak, but for the most part it's all pretty mysterious. There is a plan in the roadmap to add more world events, factions, and other story-based interactions, but for the moment it's pretty simple. Don't get me wrong, simple doesn't mean bad. There is so much to read into in this game. Just one example is the way that the zombies are acting. There's something that's definitely weird about them, something different than most other zombie games. Almost like they aren't completely gone. Anyway, from the written information, radio messages, and conversations between survivors, you do get a good picture of what is happening within the world. And I'm looking forward to playing it again after some updates to see how it continues to evolve. As I said earlier, Into the Dead is a 2D side-scrolling shelter survival game with similarities to this War of Mine. If you liked that game, you're definitely going to like this one. The two main components of gameplay are the scavenging and the base building. Within the base, you have a number of craftable stations like the cooking station, the communal space, and the dismantler. Each of these have a specific use, and most of them, if not all of them, are integral to the longevity of your run. You also have the needs of your survivors, which ties in heavily with the stations. So the survivors have 4 main status bars: health, hunger, sanity, and sleep. And these need to be monitored frequently and managed during the base periods of the game. There are other small factors like effects which change the way that these needs operate, and these can be managed or fixed with crafted items or specific areas in the base. The final factor of the base area is the protection or the barricades, and these can be rough. There will be random attacks on your base after each expedition or each time period spent doing something within the base, and each of these are from differing extent. From what I can see, it's mostly random, but this will require repairs on the barricades, but will take one of your survivors away for that period to do so. It does end up being a massive factor in the running of your shelter, so you need to keep an eye on that. Now, on your expeditions themselves, there are so many factors of gameplay. The basics are avoid, eliminate, and scavenge, but I found myself breaking these down into so many little aspects. First is the preparation. Before you go on your expedition, you'll need to choose the items you'll be taking from the base with you. This could be weapons, lockpicks, bolt cutters, but you can't just load up and go because each of these take up an inventory space, which means you won't be able to bring back as much as you possibly can. I found myself taking notes on things that I missed during a run so that I could come back another time and finish clearing out the remainder of the level. One handy part is the map does show you the threat level of zombies that are there and the things that can still be scavenged, so you can make a nice little informed decision before you choose to go back. The level design itself is basically just a big maze, so figuring out the puzzles and areas that connect takes a good amount of exploring and experimenting. Once you have the layout pretty much figured out, it makes it easier to navigate and fight as well, because you'll know your escape routes if you need them. The combat can be a little bit finicky, but overall was a good experience. Although I will mention, give it some time and try and really learn the combat. It can be tough, but you do get better at it. The still and roaming undead are the easiest to deal with, but once you get into the packs of undead or the hiding ones, the hiding ones are so annoying. It does get a little more intense. Don't be afraid to run and come back another night if you need to. It's not worth losing a survivor just to feed your gamer ego. There can also be other survivors in some of the maps that can either be hostile or non-hostile, and you'll have to make the decision on whether to end them or, for the ones that are willing, bring them back to your base. But just remember, it is another mouth to feed, so you got to take that into consideration. Finally, the last piece of gameplay is the scavenging. Out on expeditions is where you'll pretty much get everything you need to survive. Food, resources, weapons, medical resources, the things you need to craft the better things. I try to write a list of things I really needed, either for needs or upgrades, and then focused on grabbing them while I was out. Remember, you can always leave your stuff and come back for it if you are desperate. The environment and level design of Into the Dead was amazing. As I mentioned earlier, there is definitely something up with the undead in this game. I feel like it differs quite a lot from other zombie apocalypse style games. The level design really emphasizes that part quite well, as you'll see when you explore through the different levels. With little touches here and there can be a sense of guilt that slowly builds up as you pick up on the emotions and the ways of the infected. Other than the zombies, with each area that you visit, you do get a good sense of how bad things are for this area of the world. And you get drawn into the ups and downs of your survivors really easy, feeling for what they are going through. There is more to come, as I mentioned, with the roadmap, but be prepared to make hard decisions and help your survivors through some hard times. Now, as this is early access and in alpha, there is a roadmap that shows us some pretty big things coming, which is very exciting. Starting with environmental and world events that will affect your shelter over time, zombified survivors showing up after they have been lost, new throwables, new starting shelters, and a bunch more. But the future stuff is what I'm excited about. There's traders, new survivors, locations, new zombie types, additional combat, and doggos. There's gonna be dogs. I seen a cat in one of the shelters, but a dog companion that needs to be looked after would be absolutely amazing. Brutal if anything happened, but absolutely amazing. Anyway, like I said, there's heaps to come. The team behind this are super passionate and are really good at communicating with the community, which is really cool to see. So I'm excited to see what this game evolves into. Into the Dead, Our Darkest Days was fantastic. It did take me a couple of days and many attempts to finish my first run, but the replayability is definitely there already. I'm keen to start up another run and try some other characters and potentially get a different ending. The atmosphere was amazing, and I definitely had that feeling of uneasy dread every time I had to send a survivor out to scavenge, especially more towards the end of the game. Once I sort of had an escape plan happening, I was like, I don't want to send these guys out. With the updates already beginning to roll out, the exciting times are still to come. I have always been on the search for a game that gave me this war of mine feel. And so far, this is the only thing that has come close for me. With the things proposed on the roadmap, I'm sure this will be a game that is going to become another favorite of mine in the future. Into the Dead is out now for early access on Steam for just $36.99 Australian, and is hard to put a time on how long to finish. I played for around 10-ish hours or so, but I had a really lucky run on my last one. There's always the chance to get other endings, so I could have been playing for so much longer, and I will. I've said this a few times, but I'm really excited to see where Pickpock takes this, and I will be keeping up to date on the game as much as I possibly can. This is one I've been waiting for since I first got to play the demo way back at PAX at some point, and I'm really excited it's finally in early access. A big thanks to Dead Good PR for the code. It was really good to finally get my hands on this game. And that is my first thoughts on Into the Dead, Our Darkest Days, and everything you need to know before you buy it. We'd love to know what you think about this one, so let us know in the comments below. Are you going to pick it up, or are you going to be waiting for it to get a little bit more developed? Let us know. If you're looking for more indie game recommendations, click right here. And until next time, stay caffeinated.